Thank you for joining us today for the Mentor Health IT Apprenticeship Orientation for Host Organizations. I'm Tracy Mastel, Program Director for Health IT Training at Normandale Community College and Training Manager for the Mentor Health IT Grant. Today we will cover the purpose of the apprenticeship, we'll go over the process, and let you know where you can find helpful resources. There is a separate orientation for trainees, or apprenticeship participants, which you're welcome to view as well. When the Lackey Parle Health Network was awarded the Mentor Health IT grant, the apprenticeship was a required part of the grant funding. This is because it's been proven that trainees who have the opportunity to immediately apply the skills they learned through the Health IT training are able to synthesize the concepts they learned and think critically through Health IT projects, which in turn help the organization's bottom line. Apprenticeships are generally started after the training is complete. We've estimated that if each person works on their apprenticeship for around 10 hours per week, it should take them approximately 8 weeks to complete the entire thing. This time commitment is flexible, however. If participants are unable to dedicate this much time or a host organization is unable to release trainees from other full-time work, this can be adjusted. But for trainees to gain the true value of the apprenticeship experience, we hope that every effort can be made to come as close to 80 hours as possible, even if that means stretching them out over a longer period of time or compressing them into 2 full weeks, for example. Whatever the trainee and the organization decide on should be outlined in their agreement in advance so everyone is on the same page. Trainees have been provided with a toolkit which outlines all the steps of the apprenticeship, including what they need to do to prepare, the 3 parts of the apprenticeship, and the steps to complete the capstone to receive their certificate of completion. Organizations can also refer to this toolkit to become more familiar with the process. This presentation will go through some important parts of the apprenticeship process, but the toolkit is the best place to look for details, which shouldn't be missed. So everyone's encouraged to read through that as their first step in this process. Throughout the presentation, I'll have this image on the screen when we're looking at something which can be found in the toolkit. The purpose of the apprenticeship is to provide trainees with an opportunity to apply the skills they learned through the Mentor HIT training to a real-world setting and gain hands-on experience and knowledge which they can apply to the work they do every day. Organizations benefit from the apprenticeship experience through the development of their employees and having additional help to work on projects which may have been put aside due to a lack of time or employees skilled in HIT. These types of situations often bring up questions about responsibilities, payment, and privacy, so we tried to address some of the most common questions in the Considerations section of the toolkit. The most common question we hear falls under the financial considerations. The Mentor program does not provide any financial compensation to trainees or organizations. If things come up for you which aren't addressed here, or you just need more of an explanation on something, don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time. Trainees are primarily responsible for driving the preparation of their apprenticeship. I'll quickly go through the parts of the preparation process so you can see where the organization will participate. Each area is marked as optional or required based on whether the trainee is required to do those things or not. The journal is an optional piece in which trainees can track things they're learning about through the training which interest them. They can then refer back to this for ideas they'd like to explore further when planning their apprenticeship projects or compiling questions to ask people during the shadowing process. The required advisory meeting is where the trainee has a conversation with the apprenticeship coordinator and the training manager about how they plan to approach their apprenticeship. The required apprenticeship proposal is what trainees must submit to the organization with their idea for their project. This may include some items that are still undecided and should be discussed between the trainee organization and, if necessary, the apprenticeship coordinator and/or the training manager. The planning meeting is an opportunity where we can help you talk through the details of the project and expectations with the trainee. If you don't feel like this is necessary, it is not required. The project agreement is the most important part of the preparation process because it's what outlines as many of the details of the project as possible. There are key pieces of information which must be included in this agreement, and it needs to be signed by the trainee, organization, and the apprenticeship coordinator. The last part of the preparation is the memorandum of agreement between each organization and the mentor program to outline the expectations of the site host. The mentor team has been working with all the sites we know will likely be hosting an apprenticeship. The mentor team has been working with all of the sites we know will likely be hosting an apprenticeship and asks that if your organization has not completed this yet, to please do so at your earliest convenience. Once the preparation is done, the actual apprenticeship can begin. There are 3 parts built into the apprenticeship, which we'll outline here today. This brain tree graphic illustrates how each area across an organization uses technology in various ways, which nourish the organization's collective knowledge to accomplish its goals. By starting the apprenticeship with shadowing, trainees see firsthand how these areas use technology, and they can see real-world application of the important workflow concepts they learned in the training. We understand that in many smaller facilities, the same person may be performing more than one of these job functions, so it's up to the trainee to have that person demonstrate how their use of technology differs depending on their role. We've anticipated that trainees will shadow each of these areas for at least 2 hours to get the full experience, for a total of 18 hours to complete this part of the apprenticeship. The second part of the apprenticeship involves learning what it's like to be part of the HIT team at a facility. These are some examples of things they can do during this phase. The third part of the apprenticeship is the individual project. This is ideally something the trainee is interested in learning more about, and/or could also be something the organization needs help with right now. They're encouraged to propose their own ideas through the apprenticeship proposal explained earlier, or they can discuss one of the projects listed here with the organization to decide on something mutually agreeable. The most important thing is projects should be pre-planned and agreed upon in the project agreement, so expectations are established in advance. We will be asking trainees and organizations to complete a midpoint assessment and a final assessment. The midpoint assessment will ensure that the project agreement is being followed and any issues are addressed and corrected by either the trainee, organization, or mentor program staff. The final assessment will determine the level of satisfaction and whether everyone's expectations were met. The final part of the apprenticeship is where the trainee brings the whole experience to a close and submits for their certificate of completion. The capstone summary of their experience should cover the items listed here and is submitted to the apprenticeship coordinator for review. We've included some templates in the apprenticeship toolkit, which may be useful when working through this process. And finally, our mentor team is available to assist trainees and organizations throughout the apprenticeship. You're welcome to reach out to us if you have any questions or need help with any part of this process. Our hope is that you find this to be a valuable experience for your organization, and our door is open to discussing any other ways we can help your organization reach its HIT goals.